Welcome to our first week of our Comps and Coffee in the East Bay. We've had so many clients over the years asking so many questions, and this year especially with everything that's been happening in our area and in the real estate market, so many questions. So we've decided to launch a weekly program every Saturday, 10 a.m. called East Bay Comps and Coffee. So welcome, you guys. So who I have with me today is our wonderful Francesca, what we call the genius administrator. Thank you, Francesca. My partner, Ryan, my partner, Diana, and then our favorite mortgage lender, Darrell Nelson with Diversified Capital. He's an awesome guy, super knowledgeable. So thank you, Darrell, for joining us to help us.
Well, good morning. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for allowing me to join you guys this morning, and good morning, everyone. My name is Darrell Nelson with Diversified Capital Funding. I've been doing this 29 years, although it certainly doesn't feel like that, but that is the case. And we are a direct lender as well as a broker. And one of the things that I think that we were able to do is when COVID hit, we were back in March, literally within 2 weeks, our company, 95% of our staff was already working remotely. So we were fortunate in that we never missed a beat in terms of the volumes that we've obviously seen since then. So things have been pretty crazy loan volume wise, but we've uniquely structured to, be able to get it done. So
awesome. Well, one question too that I get all the time, Darrell, as people are talking about mortgage lenders, is they say, okay, so I walked into my bank and they have a mortgage I can do. So tell the people real quick, because I think this is something that a lot of people don't understand. You are a mortgage broker, mortgage lender. What's the difference between you and, say, Wells Fargo, Bank of America? They walk into their bank.
Okay, good question. Well, if you walk into like your Wells Fargo or your B of A, they're a direct lender as well, meaning that they lend their own money.
Right.
If you're a broker, we still package the loan together and send it out. One thing, though, I think that's very important, excuse me, during this time is I would not want to be primarily a broker right now, just because of the sheer volume. And you want to be a priority all the way through the process. So I could literally call my underwriting manager right now on the phone and get a question answered. You can't do that, unfortunately, with the larger banks.
Right.
Right now, what we're seeing too is, just with the sheer volume, I mean, it seems like probably 70, 80% of the population can refinance. Yeah. And the truth of the matter is that as a lender, we get paid the same, whether it's a refinance or a purchase. So as a result, you have these banks that are getting more business perhaps than they've ever experienced. And you want to make sure that they're treating your potential purchase as, with the priority it deserves.
Right, which is what you always do. That's always.
I certainly try. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I think you're always speedy and timely. So Darrell, I know a few people have sent in messages or questions for you. And then Diana, Ryan, and I have had some questions from wonderful neighbors and clients that have sent in some questions. We want to answer some for you. And then, of course, if anyone has any question that you have, feel free to type it in on our Facebook page, and we will answer those questions as well. So Darrell, biggest question that consumers ask you right now, what would it be? What does everybody want to know?
Well, kind of one of the segues was what I was just kind of mentioning about in terms of just the sheer volume. Is it possible to get a deal done in 30 days?
Yep.
And the reality is, I really think it depends on the bank. And, going back to what I was mentioning is the fact that, we're, as a lender, we're seeing pretty much record volume. I mean, I think I'm trying to look at my numbers compared to maybe back in the early 2000s. And, I'm probably busier now than I was back then. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of making sure that everything's a priority. Because as you well know, with a purchase, you have those finite deadlines. It's 30 days. You've got to hit your contingency periods. And the reality is that if somebody is so flushed with business, you want to make sure that you're a priority all the way through the process. And that's something that our company excels at because, that is what sustains our business, right? When interest rates go up, you're not going to have refinances. It's always going to be that purchase business, and it's making sure that we take care of our realtor partners and our buyers as well.
Well, and so Francesca, there was a question about interest rates, which I think is really good for Darrell to answer. Let us know who asked the question, and then let's let Darrell take care of that one too.
So Robert from Martinez asked, what is the forecast for interest rates in 2021?
That's a good question. I would say that unfortunately, given our current normal, right, with COVID and the uncertainties associated with that, the Federal Reserve has already come out and said that their goal is to keep rates low into the near future, and even a little bit, maybe even a little bit above, beyond that, in the sense of certainly through 2021, maybe even to the 2022.
Wow.
The interest rate environment is going to stay low, which I think also will help continue to drive our housing market.
Well, and it's crazy, you know, just a year ago, we were nearly, well, it was like end of 19, middle of 19. So a little over a year ago, our interest rates had reached almost 5%. Whereas now we are, you know, 3%-ish, depending on your credit score, all that, you could even get under, which is crazy good. You know, I've never, in my 34 years, I've never seen this ever.
Yeah, what's really funny, Lisa, I had a client the other day and they go, well, do you think rates could go lower? And I try to explain to them what that means. And I go, do you realize how bad things have to get for rates to get lower than they are? I don't know if we necessarily even want that, right?
Exactly. So it's so true. So true. So awesome. So Darryl, and then of course, anyone that has questions for Darryl, you know, absolutely send them in. And then we'll chat a little bit more with some things that we want to know from you as well, Darryl. But Francesca, so there's been some of our clients have sent in some messages. So yeah, so let us know. And then of course, any other additional questions you guys have, just type them in.
Okay, so John from Wood Ranch in Danville asks, will the election impact house values in the East Bay?
So, so you mean, well, you broke up for just 1 second there, Francesca, sorry. Did you say COVID? How is COVID impacting or?
No, sorry. John from Wood Ranch is asking, will the election impact house values in the East Bay?
The election. Okay, so this is a good one. I mean, this is like everyone's at the top of everyone's mind. And here we are, you know, less than a week away from hopefully knowing who the president will be for the next 4 years. You know, hopefully we don't end up with a delay. But I would say, so for all the reasons that Darryl just said, you know, one of the biggest questions that everyone's been asking us is, why is the market so heated, given that we are in the middle of, you know, some health, obviously a health crisis in the world. And one of the biggest reasons why East Bay market has been so incredibly hot. I mean, I've been in the business 34 years, and this is one of the very few times I have seen such a crazy heated environment that we're seeing right today. And we'll give you some exact numbers here shortly. But as far as what's driving our market is COVID has actually allowed so many more people to consider moving to the suburbs. So maybe they work in the Silicon Valley, they work in Mountain View, or they work in the city. And we've always had buyers moving here from those areas because we are a great suburban. But we've had clients in the last month in droves coming here saying, my company is telling me that I will be able to work from home more than I'd ever have. So would they want to come to our area? So that plus interest rates, I don't think the election is going to really impact our market. You know, we know that depending on who wins, there could be some significant taxes that are additional. There could be some regulation and things that come into real estate that might change the dynamics of the market, you know, interest rates. And then some of the tax advantages that people can take advantage of now might not be available moving forward. But all in all, I personally don't think that the election is going to really impact our thing. What do you think, Diana and Ryan? What would you guys say from your experience? You're working with clients right now.
Well, right now, what I'm seeing is, you know, we're in and out of homes every single week and weekend. So we're seeing the demand from buyers, and they want to buy now. They realize that now is a time, like you said, because they're coming from the North Bay, the South Bay, and, you know, huge companies like Twitter, you know, Jack Dorsey, the CEO, saying, hey, you can work from home not only until COVID ends, but in the future, indefinitely.
Yep.
So they realize, wow, we need more space, more home. We need that extra loft and office. And the home prices, even though they're pretty high over here, right? National average, they're still lower than in North Bay or Silicon Valley prices that we were seeing right now.
100%. We have clients with Zoom and Google and Facebook, and all the tech companies are saying the same thing. Diana, what are you seeing out there with buyers right now and with families that are looking to move? Do you think that the election will impact that?
You know, I don't think so. The same thing as what Ryan just mentioned. People are just wanting bigger spaces, you know, just more land, and just trying to get away from, you know, having to be crammed up. And so, yeah, I don't think there's going to be a big difference.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, and we have, you know, a tremendous public school system in our East Bay that you don't see around the other parts of the Bay Area in some cases. So people are kind of driven to where we are, you know. So awesome. So Francesca, what's the next question?
So Sarah from Bent Creek in San Ramon is asking, with the holidays around the corner, should we buy or sell now or wait until after the holidays?
It's a good question.
Yeah, and I can answer that if that's okay. So yeah, that's a really good question. I think during the holidays is probably the best time as far as for sellers. They're able to create a warm and cozy environment. So when buyers come and look at that, it makes them feel like home. As far as for sellers, homes sell a lot faster because, the inventory is, pretty low, and you're going to get, more serious buyers out there putting in offers. So definitely your home will sell quickly. And as far as buyers, right now, take advantage of the interest rates. They're super low. So I wouldn't wait until next year. I mean, right now is just a great time for buyers as well. You're going to probably have less competition. Right now we're seeing multiple offers on our houses. During the holidays, there'll probably still be multiple offers, but not as many, So
yeah, that's so true. It's like, and what you said about homes, buyers buy homes because of how it feels. And I've always found that too. Holiday time where homes are warm and, there's a lot of, they smell nice, they're decorated nice. It feels like, and so people are drawn to that. And I agree. I think sellers, especially with the pent up demand we have in the market right now, why not take advantage of that? For sure.
Yeah.
And for Jessica, so I know that there was a question about the COVID related protocol, which I think is going to be super important for our clients and anyone that's viewing to understand. What was their question?
They just wanted to know, Sam from Dublin was asking, what's the COVID protocol when people are buying or selling a home? What do the sellers need to do? What do the buyers need to do just to kind of get ready to see a home or sell a home?
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know, Ryan, that we were just talking about that. That would be a good one for you to take on.
Yeah, so I actually just put up one of the signs at our listing in Concord yesterday, and the sign is put up every single home that goes in the market. It's a sign letting people know that before you enter the property, one, you have to sign a permission to enter form that's signed by every single possible buyer and agent and the seller, giving them permission to enter the property, no more than 3 people at a time. So that's an agent and then 2 other people. There's been some scenarios where, we switched out the parent with the other kid and kind of going back and forth, but making sure that we're following protocol. So that's maximum 3 people. Sanitize before and after and everything you touch, wear gloves if possible. For sure, always have a face mask on and face covering. And we are wearing booties to protect the home if it is still owner occupied. Even if it's vacant, we want to make sure that we're not spreading any possible virus around, and keeping everything nice and safe. And that's always our top priority, is keeping our clients safe and healthy. Darryl, piggybacking on COVID, have you had a lot of programs that have gone away since COVID started, or have they come back as far as financing?
That's a big one.
That's interesting. In relation to that, it really depends. One of the things that we saw was right around, maybe it was around April or May, what some of our what we call our jumbo investors. And for those of you who don't know that term, in our area, that's for loan amounts above $765,000 up until the $765,000 amount is what we call the Fannie Mae loan amount. And what we saw with some of the jumbo investors is, because of the uncertainty, we did have some companies that actually pulled out of the market temporarily. Some of them have come back, some haven't. But we've been fortunate in that we've maintained a lot of those relationships in terms of, some of our other alternatives. That's certainly been a big factor. The other thing too is just in relation to the processes itself, we've seen, there's a heightened sense in terms of how we view self-employed, because unfortunately the small business owner, depending on what they do, certainly has the potential to be adversely affected. I had a gentleman that I did a loan last year, and he owned a limo business. And you can imagine that he was pretty much, there's almost no business there for a few months. And fortunately, he's coming back around. But, those type of things have certainly been, we've seen in terms of the process itself.
Yeah, for sure. And, one of the other questions that we get a lot that you can answer too, Darryl, is, partly because of COVID, partly because of any changes in the market, can a buyer still put down 5%? did we convert to that 20% down requirement, or are people still able to do the lower downs?
Good question. You'd be surprised in terms of like the process itself. We haven't really seen a lot of changes. So what you were touching on, Lisa, in terms of your 5% down options and things like that, which are more consistent with your loan amounts below $765,000. However, we're actually one of the few lenders that I believe actually has a 5% down loan all the way up to $1 million, which is ideal for a client, maybe, somebody that, is in the tech industry and perhaps came here and was, only been working there like a year or two, and maybe they don't have that money for that large down payment. So in that sense, yeah, those programs haven't changed too much. And that's been a nice surprise given the, the changes we've seen, as a country and as a, world as a whole,
For sure. I have some data that I want to share about the market, Francesca, but why don't you see if there's any other questions? I know there was a few other people that had questions they had sent in.
Yeah, sorry, excuse me. Yeah, there were a few other people who had questions. Elizabeth from Walnut Creek is asking, should I sell my home as is, or should we make repairs and other preparations for a sale?
Such a good question. Diana, I know we've talked about this a lot. What would you say?
Well, I would say at least doing the minimum, if it's just a matter of, doing some paint, changing some fixtures, the curb appeal, just the minimum, that would probably help. And then do pre-inspections as far as either home or termite, just to let the buyer know, the condition of the home, because that also, lets the buyer, they're putting in the offer knowing, the condition of the home. And I think that's very important. That's very helpful for them.
For sure. Because like you said, painting, I mean, we always recommend do the things that give you the highest return. And, the average consumer in our market is 33. So they buy homes very differently than other generations do. That both of you are younger than I am. I'll be the oldest in the group, everyone.
No.
Today's consumer buys houses by how they look online too. It's like they're so quick to decide that they eliminate. So those minor improvements, like you said, Diana, that people get a good return from.
Hey, Lisa, just to kind of add, to piggyback on that, I think maybe it's important to maybe mention just giving your resources, how you can assist with all those things.
Oh, that's a great idea, Darryl. So yes, one of the things that we have in our company, we have what's called a concierge. So where the consumer, if you don't have the funds, even do, the minor stuff, painting, flooring, lighting, we can help you. And it's a 0% interest. You get that monies to prepare your house and then you pay it back at the close of escrow. So thank you, Darryl. And we have the most wonderful resources. We're so thankful. We've been in business here for so long. We've got the best painters, contractors, handyman, yard maintenance guys, carpet cleaners, window cleaners, house. I mean, there's just everything that you would need to help prepare your house quickly at an affordable price, allowing you to make your move without having to put that out of your pocket. So thank you, Darryl. That's such a good point.
Well, and the other thing, just to kind of piggyback on that a lot of people may not realize, because, when I'm doing a loan for somebody, perhaps they're looking to maybe do some home improvements, right? Because, your house nowadays is your home, your school, all of the above.
Yeah, exactly. Your office,
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that, some of the difficulties that people are running into is not only finding quality people, but also people that will, be able to get the work done in a timely manner. Because I was telling somebody the other day, it seems like this is kind of the golden age for contractors, right? So when you have those resources, that's extremely important to help facilitate your process by far.
I know I have one story to tell, a house here in Danville that we sold. So the family was, their entire family, they're the two daughters and my clients, so the parents, the two daughters live, one in Livermore, one in Pleasanton, and they're all three selling homes to move to the Sacramento area to be together. They figured this is a good time for everyone to get into a less expensive area. So I hit the market with the family's house, but when he first called me, he said, we've got 7 days to hit the market, and then we have to sell immediately for them to be able to buy the next house. So our guys were so fast. The painter was there the next morning. The handyman was doing the yard, like the fix-ups, the yard work. Within 5 days, we had everything painted, staged, completely done, ready to go. We hit the market, sold for almost $200,000 over asking, which is crazy to us, right? Ryan was like, "What?"
That's insane. there's a line out, just for people wanting to go in and showing their forms, and it was crazy.
Crazy, highest price ever in that neighborhood for anything like it. But the house came out really nice. And so to answer that question, our resources, they are so awesome. And we are so fortunate to have, like the seller said to me, oh my God, that Irvin, he's like the best ever. He's our painter, one of our painters. So that we can handle it very quickly. I wouldn't recommend that, the whole 5-day thing. Definitely for your stress and strain and your sanity, give yourself more time if you can. But yes, they're available quick if we need them. So a couple of things I wanted to share is some data on the market. We track, one of the things that gives us the best indication of a heated market is the supply and demand, which is obviously economics 101, right? Well, we track every month for years how many active listings in our East Bay versus how many are pending, right? That's kind of it's such a clear indicator. When the market hit bottom in 2011, we've had such a big improvement since then, right? At that time in our East Bay, we look at our East Bay is Livermore all the way to Pleasanton, so the whole 580 corridor, all the way to the 680, which is all the La Marinda market, all the way to Pleasant Hill, Martinez, all the way around to the East County, Antioch, Pittsburgh, Brentwood. So that we have a pretty big market, and we all specialize in different parts of that market, which is awesome that we have our wonderful, team. But back in 2011 when the market hit bottom, there was like 2,490 active listings and about 800 pending. So we had such a heavy active, obviously at that time, a lot of inventory and very few that were pending. So the prices had fallen. So, go ahead 10 or 15 years from the, 2011, here we are, 2020. The difference in the market is right now today in our East Bay, there are 841 active listings and 1,258 pending. So it's like the amount of pressure on the active listings. And of course, my math was bad when I was looking at the number of years, 11 to 20.
You were close enough.
My brain, but the pressure, and the interesting thing is 2019 was a softer environment for multiple reasons. Like we were talking with Darrell, interest rates were significantly higher. But in 2019, there wasn't one city in our East Bay where there were more pending than active. It was more active than pending in every city. And right now, every city that we work, which is like that Livermore all the way to the East County, there's less active than pending. So that just is giving the pressure on the market. And I have to tell you, the marketing time, the days that a house takes to sell right now is averaging 16 days. And that's in every price range across the board. So the market activity demand right now is very, very high, higher than we've seen. It's just an interesting dynamic given the whole, experience we are all unfortunately living through with COVID and everything. But what we're seeing from friends that we have from realtors all over the country is most markets are experiencing a good activity. I mean, Darrell, you would know that based on your, the mortgage world.
Yeah, just to kind of give you an example, because as a lender, I'm not necessarily area specific. So I'm currently doing deals everywhere from down in Del Mar all the way up to Shasta.
Yeah.
And just to kind of touch on your point, I've got a client she's looking to buy her first home, and she's up in the Sacramento area. She could not get her offer accepted. She's making an offers on, and she's getting 5-10 offers, and they're getting beaten out over cash offers. And the agents, when I'm talking to them, they're not familiar with that. I mean, obviously we are, because we're a more competitive market.
Right.
And I'm explaining to them strategies of things to like increase their marketability for that particular offer, whether it's, maybe consider no loan contingency if they're really solid or no. And they're like, wait a minute, can we even do that? So that just gives you an idea of just how crazy it is just throughout the state in terms of the competitiveness.
Well, and it's so interesting that you say that too, because one of the things, we work with a lot of buyers, and we've got some wonderful strategies that will help you stand out in a competitive market situation. So if you're a buyer and you're struggling getting offers accepted, let us know, because we've got a few times where, like, for instance, we helped a family buy a house in Livermore, and there were 14 offers on the house in Livermore. And there's a few things that we did that allowed them to stand out, which they got their offer accepted. So, there's definitely strategies and things that we can put in place that do give you a chance to stand out better than what you would, like you said, Darrell. Even in addition to doing the removal of conditions, we have a few, what we call our stealth move of what we could do to help the position. And the fact that we've been in business here so long, we know all the realtors too, so they trust us. That if we bring in an offer, they know that we're going to help them get the job done smoothly.
Mhm.
You know, we won't waste their time with a buyer who's not capable. So that helps too. But let us know. We definitely have some tools that we can share. We might even do a Saturday about that, you know, like how do you,
Yeah,
what are the key
Lisa,
strategies?
with your experience, like going back, even a couple of years or even last year in 2018,
Yeah.
how crucial is it now to have a plan and a strategy in place with not only your realtor, but also your lender as, working as a team? Because when you're one of those buyers who just is writing multiple offers, maybe with different agents, or maybe you're just, winging it, how important is it now versus in the past to have a really solid plan in place? That way you don't have to write multiple offers on multiple homes.
It's so important. It's so important. And, right now we have 3 or 4 families that are in contract on houses that never hit the market too. So there's definitely ways that we can help a buyer get introduced to properties that are coming. But Ryan, you're so right. It's so important to have a strategy as a seller and a buyer, because the
Mhm.
seller wants to command the best interest and position their home where they can command the highest value, right? Everybody wants to make sure that their homes are exposed. And then the buyers have an opportunity to capture a property that is, that where you can walk in, where maybe you might get a chance to see it ahead of time and prepare. You want to have extra time to prepare, so you don't have to walk in the door and you're already told that there's already 2 or 3 offers. It doesn't mean you put the seller at a disadvantage. It just means that everyone has time to strategize. So I love that question. And yes, indeed, 100%. And we've learned so much over the years. We've been through every crazy, I have to say, before 2020 hit, I thought I had seen it all, right? Darrell's been around forever too. We've seen, financial crisis and earthquakes that cause, stock market crashes and crazy things that change the markets. But it's just, I thought we had seen it all. And so this was a very unexpected, obviously everyone was hit, with a lot of not knowing what to do. But now we know we have a lot more information today than we did, say, 6 months ago. Yeah. On how to help people and, So I think we have a couple more questions, Francesca. And then
we actually do have a few more questions. So Dinesh from Pleasant Hill is asking, how long is it taking to list a house and to the closing process? And what are the average days, I guess?
So is the COVID process causing things to go longer? So Diana, what do you answer that question? What's the process from listing to closing? What are we generally seeing?
Well, as far as listing, getting the house prepared, it might take maybe 2 weeks or so. That's probably average. And then going on the market, homes are definitely selling, before the 30 days. As far as, offers coming in, and once you're in escrow, I think lenders are taking a little bit longer right now, or needing a little bit more time because of the appraisals and all that stuff. Maybe 30 days, I would say, another 30 days. So total, I would say, 45 to 60 days from beginning to end. I don't know. Do you agree?
Oh, 100%. And I think the last question that we received, Francesca, was, what does a seller do? So you're in a home. This is a very common question. They're living in their home now. They want to get something bigger because their family dynamics are changing. Like we talked about, offices and school and all that crazy. Or if someone wants to downsize, people are afraid to list their home and sell it without having a place to go. So explain a little bit, you guys, let's talk a little bit about the common, rent back and the common, we're seeing pretty much every buyer willing to give the seller time to move out. Are you experiencing that, Ryan, as far as your,
Yeah, you hit on the head with people needing to rent back, and they're, kind of cautious, but that's, again, goes back to having a really solid plan, even when you're a seller, because while you're selling in that market, you're also buying in the same market. So you're buying, with a lot of other competition. That's why it's important to have a plan in place. But I wrote an offer for a home in Clayton, and my clients were giving them, a really indefinite rent back as long as they could, as far as financing terms. Yeah. So, those terms you're seeing from buyers. So you shouldn't be afraid to put your house on the market in the fear of not being able to find a new one, because the buyers out there are going to give you a lot of leeway as far as a rent back time and giving you your time to find a new replacement home.
100%. We had a house that we sold in February of this year, and this is a little longer than normal, but this is possible for people today because, like you said, buyers are more able to give us, or more willing. We sold the house in February. They were building their new house, wasn't ready until the end of August. So they had that whole time to stay in the house while they waited for the new home to be built. So that's longer than generally happens, but buyers are open, buyers are willing. So So awesome. So, and if you guys have any questions, I know there'll be a lot of people that'll be watching this after the live. You know, we're so happy to help. You guys shoot us questions. We'll be on next Saturday with our Comps and Coffee every Saturday morning. And the plan is that we want to be answering the questions that are at the highest of people's minds. So next week, Saturday, hopefully we know who our president will be for the next 4 years. We'll see. So we're bringing on 2 experts, one that talks about taxes and then one that's going to talk about investments. And so, you know, what can people do knowing what we will know in a week about the administration moving forward? What are some, you know, strategies that people can make that will help them prepare? So, and answer questions about if the taxes are going to change, what does that mean? Like, what is it? What is the potential of that? We'll see, you know, but thanks for joining us, everyone. Take care. Have a happy Saturday. You know, join us next Saturday for Comps and Coffee, 10 a.m. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.
Bye.
Hey, thanks, Darryl, for helping us out today.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
That was
thank you,
great.
Darryl.